In the heart of Memphis, Tennessee, there lived a young woman who could light up a room with her smile. April Holt, a social media influencer and mother of two, had built a life that inspired thousands. But behind the perfect posts and infectious energy, there was a story that few knew, a story that ended in tragedy. By the summer of 2023, mother of two and positivity coach April Holt had a following of over 200,000 on TikTok. April built her quirky and optimistic online image around her happy home life. Her post told the story of overcoming adversity and manifesting great things. In July, April was found unresponsive in the bathroom of her home. After what happened to her that day in her bathroom, she would die days later. Law enforcement was content to categorize the case as nothing other than a tragedy of April's own choosing. But April's mother knew better. She knew there was more to it than what the law enforcement had accepted.
My daughter, April Holt, was strangled to death. The weapon was a person. The weapon were physical hands put around her neck, which only takes seconds to be unresponsive.
This is the story of a mother's tough fight for justice. Hello everyone and welcome to Hidden Crime Tales. Today's case takes us to the outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee, where April Holt, a young mother, entrepreneur, and social media influencer, met a very questionable end, one which her mother was going to prove with or without the help of the law. In early July 2023, April Holt had celebrated her birthday. At this time, this beautiful young entrepreneur had already accomplished many great things in her life. April was an independent lash technician who had left her job and launched out on her own. She had already gone through all the rigors and came out successful, building her own business and being her own boss. Going through her social media posts, one could only find posts full of life tips and great encouragement for her over 200,000 TikTok followers. She was such a positive young woman who often spoke about her greatest achievements, which to her was the beautiful young family she had built, particularly her two children, 11-year-old Serenity and her 7-year-old son Denzel. April was an engaged, loving mother. On her social media posts, she shared the best of her family life with the world. Through her TikTok account, she focused on positivity videos, presenting a spiritual life and coaching her followers on the value of manifesting the life you want. April was just magnetic. She had this way of making you feel seen, like you were the most important person in the room. Her TikTok was full of positivity. She was real, you know? People loved her because she wasn't trying to be someone she wasn't. These were one of the comments of people when asked what they knew about April. In fact, everyone loved her because of her positivity and realness. April's journey to social media stardom wasn't just about entertaining. It was about connecting. She shared her life with honesty, balancing her role as a mother, influencer, and dreamer. But like many, April's life wasn't without challenges. She always found a way to motivate people whenever she had the chance to. She also had the fun-loving and goofy side to her.
Matter of fact, scratch that. I'ma see you with that just cause you fine as hell. And I told him, well, thank you, baby. Anything for my favorite lady. Well, I gotta go. They just let me know that I could pick up my Mercedes.
April and her husband, 33-year-old Donovan Holt, lived the ups and downs of their marriage online. They never hid anything from their online followers. They shared their origin story, letting their followers know when and how it all started for them in the relationship. They told how they were first friends that became best friends, and then became lovers.
What do you think the secret to our relationship has been? Oh, no, that's the question. It's
I'm
rolling.
supposed to answer right now.
Yeah.
Being best friends. That came first. If we weren't friends,
You're so out of breath.
I am out of breath. But honestly, if we weren't friends first, it wouldn't have lasted. Like, that's been the base of the whole relationship, the foundation was that we were friends. And so even through the bullshit, we can joke around and maintain that friendship. I mean, it's what kept us through our separation, honestly. So
Yeah.
being friends is important.
He really is like my bestest friend ever.
The bestest.
The best friend I could ever ask for. And I married him.
April and Donovan will eventually get married and become husband and wife and parents to daughter Serenity, whom April had when she was still a teen, and their son Denzel. Behind the camera, April was navigating the trials of motherhood and personal struggles. Her life wasn't always smooth sailing, though. There were some unstable points, during which there were rough patches, including the period of separation that Donovan mentions on one of their TikTok posts.
Story time, but I couldn't do it without him because I feel like it's wrong to only put out one side. So, here we go.
Okay, so the story is that we are getting divorced because it was our decision. It's my best friend. I still love her to death. Like, we still got a child together. We still gonna be hanging out. I'm probably
All
gonna
the
see
time.
her most days of the week, but at the end of the day, we got shit to do. That's it. You feel me? She has a path to go. I got a path to go, but our paths are parallel, and we always gonna be next to each other.
Yeah.
And who's to say what's gonna happen in the future? All that we know is right now. Right now, it's the best. I mean, real talk, it's the best decision for both of us. For her to
It
do what
is.
she needs to
It
do, for me to
is.
do what I need to do. So
So we can grow and heal and
that's it.
elevate. No hard feelings. This is not a messy divorce or anything like that. We don't do that. This is like I said. Like he said, this is my best friend at the end of the day. He has been before the relationship, before the marriage, before the kid. So nothing's gonna change that. So
Like, look at her, bro. Like, I would never lose this forever. For real. And look,
so we're good, y'all.
for
We're
real
good.
though. Like, for real, for real.
Promise y'all.
There were also points where the couple had faced financial hardship. Then came the part of depression and serious health issues.
Let's talk about how I'm gonna fake it till I make it while I put on lash extensions, because I had a mental breakdown the other night and I plucked all of my lashes off. I think I can add a video, maybe not. If not, then I'm just pointing for no reason. But yeah, let's get into it. So lately, I have been going through just a lot, and I can definitely say that I'm in like a depressed state. Like, I'm just overwhelmed, and I know that like I'm manifesting more negative experiences on myself with how I've been, so I have to get out of this funk. So I'm going to literally fake it till I make it. And I've done this before. This isn't the first.
But through these all, positive as she always was, April framed their story as a journey of the pair overcoming adversity. Whatever they faced, April always made sure that the story she told always ended with love, happiness, and success, conquering whatever negativity that they went through. She was recently divorced, a significant turning point in her life that left her vulnerable yet determined to move forward.
Because he just goes along with everything weird I do.
It was Friday, July 28th. That morning, April spoke with her mother Jamie on the phone briefly. They had plans to see the Barbie movie, but she couldn't make it that afternoon. At that point, they agreed to meet at their church the following day. A few hours later, Jamie received a shocking phone call, one that she would never forget. The voice over the phone was Donovan's voice. He called Jamie, saying that April had been rushed to the hospital. He mentioned that their young son had found her in the bathroom. He claimed that their young son found her in the shower with a plastic bag taped over her head. She was not breathing. In July 2023, just weeks after finalizing her divorce, April's life came to a sudden and tragic end. She was found unresponsive in her apartment. Her passing shocked her community, her family, and the thousands of followers who admired her. But at the hospital, Jamie, April's mother, recalled Donovan continued to act strangely. He was not expressing the kind of distress and confusion one would expect from a distraught husband. He allowed her to make all of the medical decisions regarding April's treatment as they fought to save her. Jamie recalled that at some point, Donovan held his head in his hands and he rocked back and forth. The following 3 days were days of emotional agony for Jamie. And on July 31st, April had still not regained consciousness. At that point, she was off life support and declared dead from her injuries. Autopsy reports were released in November. But this report and results were not what Jamie had expected. The cause of her death was ruled by the medical examiner as suffocation. Also, the conclusion reached by the Metro Nashville police was that there had been no foul play. Investigators informed Jamie Dickerson that her daughter's case would be closed. There was nothing further to investigate. But you see, Jamie rejected the decision outright. She told investigators that she would continue to search for the real killer of her daughter and walked out on them after they closed April's case. Jamie knew her daughter very well. She knew how her daughter has great qualities and her view of how important life is. She knew both faith and resilience were qualities that April had in abundance. Jamie also believed that there was no way that out of all things, April would have chosen to end her own life and leave her children. She was certain that someone had taken her life, and Jamie believed that she knew exactly who that person was. 2 weeks before the sad event of her death, April had filed for divorce. It was also clear that this was not the first time the marriage had been a rocky one. The couple had originally sought a divorce years earlier, leading to a 3-year separation. April and Donovan separated, but never formally cut ties. While separated, they continued to present a happy front to their followers. It is not for us to say if some of this was genuine or perhaps they were in a deeply unhealthy relationship cycle, because after being separated for a long while, the two decided to rekindle their romance and give it another go. It could be seen in the videos they posted, how they prided themselves on their ability to forgive, to embrace open lines of communication, and to grow as individuals while together. The darkest moments of their relationship somehow seemed never to reach April's TikTok account, but the arguments must have escalated. When she sought to separate in July 2023, April was not backing down. She made it clear to her mother that she was holding firm and leaving Donovan for good. It also seemed this time that Donovan knew the divorce was certainly happening. Jamie learned later that he had pawned his wedding ring just a week before April died. On July 28th, the day that April was found unresponsive in her shower, she and Donovan had been having an argument. Till date, the details of their disagreement remain unclear. Nevertheless, that morning, their son Denzel heard his parents fighting, but he could not distinguish the words that were being exchanged. Later, though, he recounted to his grandmother what he recalled from that day. Jamie, talking about events from that day and narrating what Denzel recounted to her, stated, "On July 28th, she woke up, drank her coffee, journal as usual, enjoying her peaceful morning, hugged and kissed her son Denzel. Then she and her husband then went into the bathroom and began to argue and fight. My 7-year-old grandson put his ear to the door and heard his parents fighting, and he looked underneath to see both of their feet. He then listened some more, but he couldn't understand what they were saying, and so he then ran to his room. His dad shortly after came into his room, and he got him dressed, and he fed him, and he then had him go check on his mom. He asked him to go check on his mom in the bathroom. It was after this point that 911 was then called. We got to the hospital, and she had no brain function and no blood flow to her brain. We did not find out about the bag, which was not disclosed to us, for over 6 hours. In that time, her husband had went back to the apartment 2 times, not knowing what was not. I don't know what he was doing there. On July 31st of 2023, my daughter was pronounced dead, and I want justice." What followed was a fight that Jamie had to wage to apply public pressure to get the attention of the Nashville police as well as the DA's office. She began with seeking exposure by seeking out local news stations. She reached out to area celebrities, and she posted about the case regularly on her social media.
So guys, I wanted to let you guys know something, which I don't understand if I'm doing something wrong or how I reach out, but there has not been one news channel in the local Nashville area that has picked up April Holt's story, my daughter. Not one, from day one, and it's been 14 months, and I've reached out to Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 5, any channel out there, including I've reached out to many of the celebrities that are out here. Not one will even respond or take.
It certainly was an uphill battle. After the investigation had been officially closed, it became difficult to gain any traction in the media coverage of April's case. All information and coverage of the case on the mainstream outlets at that time completely stopped. Jamie did not only campaign online. At this point, she requested the full case file and began researching by lodging a formal complaint with the Community Review Board in Nashville. She forced a full review of the handling of April's case. Eventually, the Metro Nashville Police Department launched a second investigation. It wasn't until 4 months later that they returned with a 47-page report. In this report, they stated that the reinvestigation did not prompt a change in the categorization of the case or the nature of April's death. However, what this report did was that it provided was a wealth of detail for Jamie to scrutinize. Jamie took her time to comb through the report and related documentation. The time it took her to scrutinize these documents turned into hours. Then the days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months while Jamie worked through what was available and tried to make sense of the evidence she had to work with. While doing all this and going through her grief, Jamie also aimed to provide a stable and supportive home life for her grandchildren. There were posts about taking Serenity and Denzel to grief counseling. Jamie also shared how their nightmares kept her and her husband up at all hours. She also spoke openly about her own grief, even publishing a book entitled Grieving Through Grace, in which she spoke about her bereavement process.
Hey guys, so I'm so excited that my new book has come in, and I really just want to go share it with my daughter. And so I drove up here so that I can share with her this book. I know she would be so proud and so happy to see it. She would have been my first cheerleader.
Jamie also became an advocate against domestic violence. The insights she provided highlighted the complex dynamic at work. During this period, Jamie also had to struggle to keep the children together. In the months following his wife's death, Donovan Holt relocated to Texas. Then he wished for his son to join him there in Texas. Jamie's relationship with her former son-in-law was growing tense during this period. In April 2024, Jamie stopped posting about the case or about her concerns surrounding the case. Not because she was tired or exhausted, but because she has been placed under a gag order. Nevertheless, she continued seeking justice for her daughter. Initially, investigators had claimed that April showed no signs of trauma from the incident that had caused her death. But according to Jamie, there were visible signs on April's body at the hospital that suggested this was not true. She had noticeable bruises. The autopsy recorded marks on her neck, her thighs, and her ankles. As a matter of fact, she even had a gash on her inner thigh. The most significant piece of evidence in this report, which was overlooked by the initial investigation, was that there was only one set of fingerprints on the bag taped to April's head, and there was only one set of fingerprints on that duct tape. Those fingerprints were not April's. They were a match to Donovan Holt, her husband. So, in September, Jamie confronted her former son-in-law directly with the information that she had uncovered. It was during this conversation with her that Donovan confessed to her about his involvement with her death. Jamie took this confession, which she had recorded, to the police. With the new development to the case, April's autopsy was reviewed, and its conclusion finally changed. The manner of death was formally recategorized to a homicide.
Alright guys, so a few weeks ago I placed a claim against the Nashville Metro Police Department in regards to the botched investigation that they did on April Holt's case, my daughter, that I had to get justice for on my own and then bring it to them in order for them to recognize that they did not do their job. So I placed a claim, and today I get this letter in the mail, and this is what the letter says. Dear Mrs. Dickerson, the Office of Professional Accountability has completed its investigation of the above matter in which you were allegedly involved. Based upon all available evidence and information from the investigation, it was determined that the allegation of violation of Department Manual 4.20.050F, deficient or insufficient performance of duties, appears to be exonerated. The definition of exonerated is an incident did occur, but the action was consistent with established policy, rules, and procedure.
On September 20th, 2024, the MNPD announced that Donovan Holt had been arrested in San Antonio after he confessed to killing his wife directly to detectives. He was thereafter indicted by a grand jury for recklessness homicide, evidence tampering, and false reporting. Donovan was transported from Texas to Tennessee and held on a $75,000 bond, pending an arraignment which was already held on October 23, 2024. After speaking with the Nashville CT case unit, the case was resolved. The 33-year-old Donovan told police the same version of events that he had revealed his former mother-in-law. He stated that he had angrily strangled his wife in the heat of an argument. Then, to conceal the crime, he had dragged her into the shower, positioned the bag over her head, and taped it in place. At that point, he then left her there to go make lunch for their son. After their son Denzel had eaten, he asked him to check on his mother, Then he called the 911 for an ambulance. That was the tragic story of April Holt, and it's fair to say that we are happy justice was served and he didn't get away with murder.
There is no perfect time. All you have is right now. All the time you have is right now. All the opportunities you have are right now. Tomorrow is not promised, so make the most of today. Live with no regrets. None. Don't die with your dreams inside of you.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for daily uploads. See you in the next video and be safe out there.